The TT Grandstand, Wednesday the 16th of June 1965. A glorious day, and martial music fills the air before the 125cc TT. But now at 10:30 it's warm-up time. So as the record number of 67 competitors start their engines, let's study form for what promises to be a cracking race. For the last 2 years, the 125TT's been a needle match between Honda and Suzuki, with honours even. But this year, their Japanese Yamaha rivals have entered a team of 3 machines for the first time. And what a team! 250cc world champion Phil Reed, Mike Duff, and brilliant newcomer Bill Ivey on 125-mile-an-hour twins, which sounded very impressive in practice. But fastest in practice were 2 of the new Suzuki two-stroke twins, on which both Ernst Degner and 1963 winner Hugh Anderson unofficially broke Luigi Taveri's 1964 Honda lap record of 93.53. Degner went round at 94.1 and seems very happy with the Suzuki.
It's more powerful and reliable, and I think it's easy to break last year's record in the standing start lap.
What do you think the new lap record will be?
Well, 95, it's easily.
What differences are there in the Suzuki this year?
Well, some timing we changed in the engine, and the exhaust system has changed, and so it brought the power up.
The water cooling, that is new from last year, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bit slower from the beginning in the race, but after it's warm enough, then we get a constant power.
And here's the 1965 Suzuki twin during practice. Now you'd think that the 4 Suzuki men, Degner, Peris, Katayama and Anderson, would regard the Honda 4s, which took the first 3 places last year, as their toughest opposition. But Hugh Anderson doesn't.
Well, I don't know, really. I think Yamahas are going to be much more difficult to beat than Honda. Honda have had a lot of trouble and they're not very happy with their bikes, but you never know, they may go well here, but I think Yamaha is the one to beat.
Maybe Hugh's right. The Hondas, which dominated the 125 class in 1964, are in real trouble this year and have yet to finish a race. So let's see if last year's winner and world champion, genial little Luigi Taveri from Switzerland, is worried that the Hondas, to be ridden by Ralph Bryanton himself, might be unreliable.
I think the Honda one is always okay. Him make easy the 3 laps. Only this year a little more trouble. I think it's carburetor trouble and ignition.
Now, last year you made a new record lap. Do you think if it is a good day tomorrow you can go as quickly or faster?
For me, I don't know. I can go faster or not, but sure, when it's the good day, Suzuki and Yamaha go faster.
Do you think the Honda can beat the Suzuki?
No.
No? Why not?
The speed in the moment is not the same as Suzuki.
And what about the Yamaha? Their first TT tomorrow. Do you think they will do well?
Maybe, but I think for Yamaha it's a little more difficult for finish the race.
Now, what about those Yamahas? They have had trouble in practice, and they all weighed in late last night. That seems ominous. And Phil Reed, who on Monday became the first man to do a 100-mile-an-hour lap on a 250, doesn't sound very optimistic about his 125 ride.
Oh, it's a terrific little machine. It's quite easy to ride after the 250.
How do they go compared with the Hondas and the Suzukis, as far as you're concerned?
It's difficult to tell because I haven't been able to get with the Suzuki or the Honda to compare the speed. But I think they're as fast. I mean, I remember in the Japanese Grand Prix last year, the Suzuki has had a bit more top-end speed, and the Hondas are about the same, if not just a little more. But now Yamahas have improved the 125s, and I think they've got a little bit more power still.
How many laps in succession have you done, Phil, on the 125 here?
Well, there's a sore point there. No, we haven't managed to get them to run more than about 1 lap properly. yet.
What
Trying
sort
to
of troubles
specify
have you been
reasons.
having? I mean,
There's some trouble. A bit of calibration trouble. Not very technical.
are you? Does that mean to say you're pessimistic about finishing on Wednesday?
Yes, the thing that worries me is how am I going to get back from the mounting, say, to start in the 350 race?
With 3 makes of Japanese machine filling the practice leaderboard, it seems that Europe stands little chance of a win. In fact, of the 12 makes from 16 countries, the only European bike with even a remote chance of victory is the East German MZ, of which 2 are to be ridden by Derek Woodman and Klaus Enderlein. The remaining makes? Jawa, EMC, Bultaco, Mondial, Tohatsu, BSA, MV and Montesa. But now the warm-up's ending, and the riders are filing out from the paddock to the Glen Crutchery Road to assemble in pairs and start at 10-second intervals. In a few moments, the 1965 125 TT will be on. First away, it's Sid Mizen's Honda Twin, and there goes Taviri's Honda 4 with Avery's EMC. Now Reed's Yamaha and Perez's Suzuki. Woodman's MZ next. And here's Yoshimi Katayama's Suzuki and Bocek's Jawa. Number 14, Tommy Rob's Bultaco. Less than 3 miles from the start, bang goes Suzuki's hopes for the manufacturer's team prize. For Frank Perez is out at Union Mills with a seized engine. At Kirkmichael, 14 miles out, Taviri's leading on the road. Next, it's number 7, Reed's Yamaha. And now, numbers 10 and 11, Woodman's MZ and Katayama's Suzuki. And that means Katayama's gained 10 seconds on Derek. It's Duff and Anderson next, Yamaha and Suzuki. So, Anderson's leading the race, and Phil Reed, by nearly 10 seconds on corrected time. But number 19, Ralph Browns, is late at Kirkmichael, although his Honda 4 sounds all right. Bill Ivy's going magnificently in his first race on the Yamaha, and he's ahead of Browns on time. But now, at the top of the mountain at Brandywell, with a heavy wind blowing, here's Taviri's Honda, still first on the road. Reed goes round next, 9 seconds ahead of Taviri on corrected time. But now here's Katayama, leading Woodman and Duff, Suzuki, MZ and Yamaha. But it's Degner next, so where's Hugh Anderson? He's changing a plug at the Guthrie Memorial, and that's put him right back. Now at Brandywell, it's Bryans on the Honda 4. Enderlein in 9th place, playing tunes on the MZ. Past the grandstand and into his second 37 3/4 mile lap goes Luigi Taveri, still leading on the road, but with Reed right behind him. Katayama's next on the Suzuki. And now the fourth make in the first 4 places on the road. Woodman's MZ, just ahead of Dutch Yamaha. Here's the staggering news that Phil Reed's broken the lap record by nearly 12 seconds from a standing start, with a speed of 94.1, to lead his teammate, Mike Duff, by a mere 2.8 seconds. Duff's only 2.6 seconds ahead of Katayama's Suzuki, and they've both broken the lap record too. An incredible performance by Katayama in his first TT. Taveri's 4th, Degner 5th, and Woodman 6th on his comparatively slow MZ. A great effort. And there goes Bryans into his second lap on the Honda. Less than 12 seconds cover the first 5 men. But on his second lap, Reed, in invincible form, is catching Taveri on the road and increasing his lead over Duff with another record lap at 95.2. What a debut for the Yamaha. Listen to it on Phil's first flying lap at Kirkmichael and at Brandywell, where he's caught Taveri's Honda. But Anderson's even faster than Reed, for Hugh does his second lap at 95.4, though he's still only in 9th place as he screams his Suzuki past the grandstand to start his last lap. Poor Katayama's out of the race at the pits with a split tyre after a magnificent ride. So Taveri's 3rd now, and up to 5th place behind Degner comes Ivy, to put all 3 Yamahas on the leaderboard. Last lap, and at Quarter Bridge, Reed and Taveri are still together, although Phil's 20 seconds ahead of Luigi on corrected time. And here's Woodman, 6th on the MZ. Hugh Anderson's Suzuki's going even faster on his last lap. Kevin Cass from Australia, another first-timer, is the leading private owner in 9th place on his Spanish Bultaco. Here it is at Bargarra. But at Kirkmichael, with all the leaders through on time, Anderson's the man to watch, for he's making a superhuman effort. Here's his Suzuki with Ralph Bryan's Honda, which is 6th. Degner's in trouble with a slipping clutch and he's off the leaderboard. And here's a sensational flash from Craig Navarre. Under 3 miles from the finish, both Reed and Dutch Yamahas in first and second places have gone on to one cylinder with broken piston rings. So is Taveri going to repeat his wins of 1962 and 64? Here's Luigi finishing. If Reed takes over 20 seconds to get here, he's lost the race. Here he is, 11 seconds, 12, 13, 14. Reed's won by 6 seconds with a new race record at 94.3, faster than last year's lap record. But Taveri takes second place from Duff, who's finishing now. And to cap a superb race, Anderson pulverizes the lap record again at an incredible 96 miles an hour to snatch 5th place behind Woodman's MZ. And here's Derek finishing. Bryan's finishes 6th and Ivy 7th. So Yamaha, with 1st, 3rd and 7th places, win the coveted manufacturer's team prize on their first appearance. 2 days later, it's a very different scene at the grandstand. For weather conditions are thoroughly depressing as the riders in the 50cc TT hurtle down Bray Hill after a start that's been delayed half an hour due to bad visibility. Of the 23 starters, only 6 stand a chance of winning. Luigi Taveri and Ralph Bryant on their 10-speed Honda Twins, and the 4 Suzuki riders, Ichino, Ito, Anderson and Degner, who between them have won every 50cc TT that's been held. Bryans, Degner and Anderson have all unofficially broken Anderson's 1964 lap record of 81.1 in practice. But only a minute or so after the start, Bryans turns off the course at Quarter Bridge with ignition trouble. Taveri's Honda's going great guns at Ballacrane though. Behind Taveri, the 4 Suzuki men are almost together, furiously operating their 12-speed gearboxes. Here are Anderson and Ito. Then it's Charlie Mates on the first of the Honda singles. Over the mountain goes Taveri, grimly fighting a gale force wind, and he's on his own at Craig Navarre. Then it's Anderson and Ito's Suzukis, still together, but with Ito 20 seconds ahead on time. At the end of lap 1, Ito leads Taveri by 12 seconds at 77.9. Anderson third, Degner fourth, Bryans back in the race after a long delay, a surprising fifth, and Mates a praiseworthy sixth. At Bagaro on lap 2, Taveri's Honda's doing all its 20,000 RPM at well over 100 miles an hour. And Bryan's Honda's going well at Kirkmichael. But on the mountain on lap 2, the leaderboard changes dramatically, for Ito's slowing with plug trouble and Brian's retires at the gooseneck. So, at signpost corner, Taveri leads. And with the lap 2 leaders, Taveri, Anderson, Ito, who's soon to retire, and Degner already through, Meets is up to 5th place at signpost on his Honda Single. Now on to the flat-out straight past Sulby Church on the last lap, as Taveri's Honda hurtles by, leading the race by more than 45 seconds at over 79 miles an hour. In second place, ahead of his Suzuki teammate Degner, it's Hugh Anderson. Here comes Taveri into Governor's Bridge for the last time to win his first 50cc TT at an average of 79.6, with the fastest last lap at 80.8. It's Luigi's third TT win in 4 years. A superb ride under horrible conditions, and a very well-deserved reward for Honda after 4 years of effort. It's a dull morning on Monday, June the 14th, for the first TT of 1965. The 3-lap, 113-mile sidecar race. It's the 12th post-war sidecar TT, and as the first of the 44 starters get away, it's obvious that it's going to be a BMW benefit. For although there are 5 makes of machine and a few specials, all the likely winners are BMW mounted, including 4 times world champion Max Deubel, who holds the race and lap records at 89.1 and 90.7 miles an hour, Fritz Scheidegger, Florian Camathius, Chris Vincent and Colin Seeley. And here already at Balaf Bridge, 16 miles out, are the BMWs of Camathius and Scheidegger. And right behind them, it's the BMWs of Deubel, Auerbacher and Harris. Seven and a half miles on at Ramsey, Camathius has retired. But 2 more BMWs are coming into the picture as first Heinz Lothringhauser and then Colin Seeley roar through Parliament Square. Lap 1 completed, and Scheidegger leads Deubel by a mere 3 seconds at 88.9, with Auerbacher third, Luffringhauser fourth, Seeley fifth, and Terry Winnicombe on his VSA twin, the leading British bike, sixth. Here's Winnicombe at Signpost Corner, leading 8th place man Dave Ajax's Norton. On lap 2, Deubel rockets round with a new lap record at 91.1 to take the lead from Scheidegger by 3 seconds, and out of the race goes Seeley. So that means that Norman Huntingford's Matchless here's in 8th place. And going well in 9th position is Tombs Triumph. Third and last lap. Scheidegger blasts his BMW round Quarterbridge first. Next, it's Deubel, who's increased his lead to 4 seconds. Ramsey, 1962 winner Chris Vincent, who stopped 3 times on the first lap, is up to 5th place as he rounds the hairpin. Then it's Freeman's Norton, now the leading British machine, in 6th place. And now the leaders are due at the grandstand.
And I can see Scheidegger's machine. I can see the flash of orange as Scheidegger backs down behind the windscreen, and there is Deubel behind him. Deubel is going to win this race, but it's going to be very, very close. Scheidegger across the line. Listen. But not quite coasting in.
So Deubel wins his 3rd TT by 14 seconds, with a new race record of 90.6 and another lap record at 91.8. 4 days after the sidecar race, there's Friday's senior TT. And the main question is whether Mike Hailwood, who won on an MB in 1963 and 64, can do the hat-trick. It might seem to be a foregone conclusion, but against him, there's not only his teammate, the brilliant Giacomo Agostini, but 62 of the world's finest riders on single-cylinder Nortons and Matchlesses, amongst whom is Joe Dunphy. And how did Joe's Francis Beard Norton go in practice?
It's done all we wanted to do in practice, so keep our fingers crossed for the race.
And how does the bike that you've got this year compare with your 63 bike?
It's definitely faster. Putting a higher cog and we're getting more revs.
And what was the fastest lap you did?
95, I believe.
Joe, what sort of a race are you planning? What do you hope ideally will happen?
Well, I hope to lap at 100 mile an hour and finish in the first 6.
In his first TT, Wednesday's junior race, newcomer Agostini consistently lapped at over 99 on the new MB3. So today he should easily beat all the private owners. Jack Ahern thinks so anyway.
Personally, I don't think we'll see Agostini. I think he knows enough about it now to be in front of the private Nortons and things. But I'll plug for first private as usual, or first Norton. Got to beat Paddy Driver anyway.
You don't stand a chance, Jack.
And that was ever cheerful Paddy Driver, who stands a very good chance of finishing well up himself on his 5-speed Tom Kirby Matchless. Now, what about the 37 3/4 mile TT course? Mike Harewood thinks that, if anything, it's slower than last year.
Oh yes, they've removed a house from the other side of Belloff Bridge. It hasn't done anything. You can't go over it any quicker.
Any deterioration anywhere?
Yes, going up Craig Willis Hill and Cronky Valley Straight, very, very bumpy, much bumpier than it was last year, and it's getting worse every year. I don't know what they're going to have. They're going to have to resurface it or something, I think.
It looks like a fairly easy ride for you, but would you agree with that?
I'm afraid to have to say it, but yeah, providing I don't fall off or do something silly, I'm afraid to say it looks like it. Yeah.
Well, we'll soon know. But it's significant that in its 42 years of history, only one man, John Surtees, has beaten the superstition that the senior TT cannot be won by the same man 3 years running. As the 67 starters get away, it's dry at the grandstand, but there's heavy rain at Ballath and Ramsey, and before half the field's away, there's rain on the Glencrutchery Road too. But it's dry at Ballacrane when Dunphy's Norton, Woodman's Matchless and Halewood's MV arrive almost together. And now here's Agostini's MV. Halewood's wasting no time. He's leading on the road at Selby, 5 seconds ahead of Woodman's Matchless. Then it's Dunphy, just ahead of Agostini. Here's Mike completing lap 1 at 95 miles an hour and giving a big thumbs down for the weather's foul. Agostini's past Dunphy and he's almost caught Woodman's Matchless. Halewood leads, then Agostini, a brilliant second in his first senior TT. Woodman third, 24 seconds ahead of Dunphy, and then the Nortons of Griff Jenkins and John Cooper. And at Ballacrane, Agostini's got ahead of Woodman. In appalling weather, rain and sleet, John Cooper's come off on the mountain, and at Craig Willis Hill, the section Halewood was criticising, Agostini's fallen off and he's out of the race. So, on lap 3, Halewood leads Woodman by over 2 minutes as he approaches Braddon Bridge. Joe Dunphy's speeded up though, and at Braddon he's almost caught Woodman. On lap 3 at Balig Bridge, Griff Jenkins is fourth on his Steve Lansfield Norton. But Jenkins has to retire, and that brings Mike Duff's Matchless up to fourth place. The weather's even worse now, and Halewood's long overdue at Ramsey. But here he is. And what a sensation, for Mike, like Agostini's, come off at Craig Willis. And it's a very battered MV he's riding now. Smashed windscreen, bent handlebars, no left footrest and flattened megaphones. Surely he can't go on like this. Now he's due at the pits, and he'll be stopping for more than petrol.
It's Halewood, here he is, what's going to happen? He's coming into the pit, get the glasses on him and see what the machine trouble is. Now, fix the throttle. He's shouting across to, I guess, maybe his father, Stan Halewood, who is behind the pit, something to him. The petrol filler is in some time ago. The MV mechanic is giving a quick check over the machine, looking first at the right, then at the left. Mike closes the filler cap, bangs it shut. The goggles go across, and he's going to change his goggles. And meantime, Derek Woodman is well round signpost corner. He's going, it looks to me, yes, he's up into first gear.
Just imagine Halewood's feelings now. Shaken after a nasty crash, he's got no windscreen. His MV's bound to be handling badly, and he'll be a very worried man. And as Halewood approaches Quarter Bridge, Woodman and Dunphy in second and third places set off after their pit stops. Kirkmichael on lap 4, Duff and Driver are together, battling for fourth place on their matchlesses. Gallant Mike Halewood's riding the race of his life and treating his MV as though nothing had happened. Just listen to it as Mike takes Hilbury on lap 4. As Paddy Driver roars round Hilbury in fifth place on his matchless, the order on lap 4 is Halewood leading Woodman by nearly 2 minutes at 91.5. With Dunphy third, only 10 seconds behind Woodman, Duff fourth, and Selwyn Griffiths sixth on his matchless. An MV, a Norton, and 4 matchlesses on the leaderboard. Way down in 16th place, but going well on the only BMW in the race, Hans Otto Butenuth starts his fifth lap. On lap 5 at Stella Maris, Halewood's MV sounds most peculiar. Behind Mike, second and third on the road and on time, Woodman and Dunphy are still together. Suddenly, the leaderboard's transformed, for Woodman and driver are out with machine trouble. So Duff's third now, and here at Cronky are the new 4th, 5th and 6th men. Ian Byrne, Norton, Selwyn Griffiths, matchless, and Billy McCosh, matchless. And now another sensation. Hailwood pit stops again with one of his throttle slides jammed shut. 68 seconds later, off goes Mike with his lead over Dunphy reduced to a minute and one cylinder running flat out all the time. But as it takes Parliament Square Ramsey for the last time with a straggler, Mike's MV sounds in surprisingly good tune. Keeping the MV going by sheer guts and willpower, determined to do the hat-trick and beat the hoodoo, whilst behind him, Byrne, McCosh and Griffiths, still together in 4th, 5th and 6th places, take Parliament Square. At the grandstand, we wait for Hailwood to win his 7th TT, 4th senior TT, and his 3rd senior TT in succession. A wonderful ride, marred only by that crash. But how did it happen, Mike?
I think probably the real trouble was I wasn't concentrating properly, and I sort of wound it up a bit too hard and found myself sliding along the road on my back.
And what then? A quick look round and...
Yeah, I leant the bike up against the bank and kicked the handlebar straight and had a quick check over and fired off straight away, and off I went.
After you'd got going again, what effect in the engine department was there from the 3rd lap onwards?
There was no effect at all. It was the engine was still going very smoothly indeed. It wasn't until the 5th lap, halfway down Solby Straight, that the carburetor slide dropped down, and from then on it was going on 3 cylinders until I stopped for the 2nd time. We were going to repair it, then they decided to take too long, so they took the slide right out.
And you started again at the end of the 5th, beginning of the 6th lap, and how was the engine running then?
It was going all right when it was full bore, because they were all sort of lined up, all the carburetors. But when you shut it off to go around the corners, the one carburetor that was open could have kept dragging the bike along, and it was quite exciting.
In my opinion, that ride of Mike Hailwood's was one of the greatest in TT history. Everyone expected him to win. And win he did. But no one expected him to have to ride half the race on a crumpled bike after a high-speed crash and 2 very long pit stops. In fact, when you consider that Hailwood also had to cope with weather conditions that at times could hardly have been worse, you realise that he is a very worthy world champion. In fact, the greatest. Mike Hailwood, we all salute you.